Hey guys, welcome back to the Western vocal channel of SIFF Young Artiste, where we nurture the artist in you. Today we are having episode number 9 of our weekly live series titled Feedback Fridays. If you're joining us for the first time, this is basically a live session that I do every Friday from 5 pm on the channel where I review and give feedback to submissions sent in by you guys, that is, the students and people from our community who have sent in clips of them singing, and I give feedback depending on how you can improve on your singing, right? Okay, so now if you're joining us for the first time again, you can submit your clips. Go to the description below and you'll find a form and you can fill that up with all the details and the link to your video or audio file, and we will do the rest. And if you're joining us after a long time and maybe you have submitted before, so this is session number 9. So there are 8 previous sessions, 5 feedbacks in each session. So there is a chance that you have been one of the 40 who have already gotten the feedback now. So please go back and check that as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive right into today's session. Today, again, I have 5 submissions to have a look at. This is all picked by the team here. So even I'm watching these for the first time, so I'll be as surprised as you guys are. But we've had a great ride up until this point, and I'm learning a lot as well, and I'm having a lot of fun, like listening to all of you from all over the country and giving you guys feedback. And I'm really hoping that it's helping you guys. So let's take a look then about the first submission for this week. It is Ayushi Punjabi from Chaumala, Rajasthan. So let's take a listen to Ayushi. It's a video and it's exactly 1 minute long. So that's exactly what we want. Thank you.
तुझे चाहा रब से भी ज्यादा, तुझे चाहा रब से भी ज्यादा, फिर भी ना तुझे पा सके, रहे तेरे दिल में मगर तेरी धड़कन तक ना जा सके, जुड़ के भी टूटी रही इश्क़े दी डोर वे, किसको सुनाए जाके टूटे दिल का शोर वे, माही वे मोहब्बता सच्चियां ने मंगदा नसीबा कुछ और.
Okay, so thank you, Ayushi, for sending that across. Firstly, let me tell you, I really enjoyed watching it from just a viewer perspective, especially because you have a lot of confidence. You were moving around the home you were in, and yeah, that sort of confidence is very refreshing to see in singers. And secondly, you do have a very unique texture and tone to your voice, and yeah, it is a singer's voice as we call it. So that is really nice. Your voice and your confidence both are top notch, so kudos for that. And now moving forward to the feedback that I can personally give you. Okay, so firstly, as we say, 2 most important things: sur mein gana or tal pe gana, right? So that is singing in tune and singing to a beat or rhythm. So both of them were slightly lacking in your performance. Even though performance itself was pretty enjoyable, there was musically these 2 aspects which are the basics of any singer or any musician that was lacking. So firstly, what I would do is, before going into the technicalities of this, I can tell you the confidence is great, but maybe try not to move around holding your phone throughout the house and stuff like that, because sitting in one place and focusing on the tune would help you get better much faster and sing it properly, rather than moving around. And I don't know, like if you might have tension in different parts of your body, or you might just not be able to focus on it, right? So it's almost as if someone's asking you to dance and sing. So try not to move around so much. That's first point. And now coming to the next few things, which are actually about the technicality of singing. As I said, for the pitch, you can definitely, you do seem to have a decent range, and your voice is really rich and nice. And especially a few parts in the beginning when your texture went that's sort of that very sensual sort of a way of singing, like especially in Bollywood playback singing, which is very common now. You can hear this sort of a texture and tone. So all that is perfectly fine, but you need to build on your basics. So firstly, for the pitch, you can refer to like my previous videos or even the Western vocals beginners course. I've mentioned many times where you can use an instrument, whether it's a guitar or whether it is a karaoke track or a backing track, and you set it to your key, that is your scale, right? Whatever scale you're comfortable with, set it to that, or just play a guitar or play a chord on a keyboard, get someone to play it for you, and slowly start singing. And what I observed was throughout the song at different parts, you were losing the pitch. So at different sections of the song, you were going flat, you were falling flat. So for that, maybe keep getting the main chord being played every 4 bars or 8 bars, wherever you think you're going off. Okay, that is one thing. And again, practice with the song, play the song, listen to it, take line by line and practice the notes how many ever times as you can. So that is definitely invaluable. And next, to sing on beat, you need to have a metronome or a karaoke track. A metronome is just an app which gives you a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So use that and sing so that you stick on the beat. The other thing, because you weren't singing on beat, it did feel like you were taking breaths at points which weren't actually necessary, and because also you were moving around, right? So that takes up more of your breath. So also do some calming warm-up exercises which will sort of relax your whole body. You can refer to that in the Western vocals beginners course as well. And also you can do a bit of warm-up with like lip trills, vocal fries, and you can refer to the vocal fry and lip trill, everything in the beginners course. And yeah, those two, and especially breathing exercises, right? So diaphragmatic breathing and producing a hissing sound through your mouth. So all of this is very, very important. So you can work on this. So mainly, I would say work on your rhythm, that's tal, your melody, your sur, that's pitching, and also your breathing. Okay, so if you can do this, I think you have a really unique voice and you have a lot of potential to take this further, and you have the right attitude and confidence as well. So kudos and thank you so much for sending this across. Okay, so let's move on to our second entry, that is Chirag Saini from Rohtak, Haryana. So let's listen to Chirag. Again, it's a 1-minute video. Great job, guys. I think you guys are listening to the guidelines at the end of each video. I also see a guitar here, so let me see. तेरे बिन जीना ऐसे, दिल धड़काना जैसे, ये इश्क है क्या दुनिया को हम समझाएं कैसे, अब दिलों की राहों में हम कुछ ऐसा कर जाएं, एक दूजे से बिछड़े तो सांस लिए बिन मर जाएं, ओ खुदा बता दे क्या लकीरों में लिखा हमने तो बस इश्क है किया, ओ खुदा बता दे क्या लकीरों में लिखा. Okay, so that cut off abruptly at 1 minute, but thank you for this, Chirag. I would like to say that this is a very heartfelt and emotional performance. You make the listener feel all the words in the lyric, right? And it's a very convincing performance. It has all the right feels, so great job on that. And coming to the other positive is that you can also play the guitar pretty well, and you're singing on time, right? Because you're also strumming the guitar and you're singing. It's a slow ballad, so I don't think there's an issue of time, or you have a lot of time to take the breath as well. So it's not like you're missing a beat because you're taking a breath. So your rhythm sense is pretty spot on. Your pitching is also almost there, but I would say I just sensed that in the ending, right, the last 15 seconds or so, you probably got a bit conscious and your pitch fell a little flat, but it wasn't anything too apparent. or too bad, but it was a little flat. So maybe just focus on that by, as I've mentioned, use an instrument, use an app, pitch to the correct notes. Okay, so just practice hitting the correct notes, run the melody of the song in your head as many times as you need, and take it slow. And if it helps, you don't always need to play the guitar. You can just give yourself the root chord and then start singing, and maybe wherever you think you need, you can just strum the chord once, because that time you get to focus completely on your singing rather than the instrument. Excuse me. So okay, now coming to the next points of feedback, mainly do have a couple of things. Firstly, for this song, this sort of a texture or tone in your voice which has that very husky, breathy sound, right? That sort of a tone works very well. But then again, I also feel that for this texture, you are sort of going with a very closed mouth approach, and also you're straining here. I can see even when you have to go slightly higher, I could see you pulling at your throat and at your vocal cords, right? So try to change it up a little bit, see how it works. And also, the closed mouth approach can only get you this far, especially in terms of dynamics or pitch. It can't get you too far. So what I would say is, use the husky texture. Maybe try with an open mouth approach. A little more at least. Second, try not to strain. And whenever you feel you have to go higher, don't go with the same husky texture. Maybe you can push upwards. As I've told many times, you push here the air upwards towards your nose, where you feel the resonance or the vibrations near your nose, in your face. So that is sort of called mixing, and you're getting closer towards head voice, as we call it, right? So you have a very nice texture, but it shouldn't be a one-trick pony for you. You need not do only that. So maybe try na 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 na. See where I'm going with a full closed mouth approach, and even if I have to go even higher, na 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 na, I'm sort of pushing my air upwards, and you can feel a bit of that nasal resonance, right? Maybe try that. And maybe even when you're lower, do try with a more solid approach rather than the husky texture. Oh. So currently your voice probably best suits for like older Sonu Nigam ji songs or like Arman Malik songs, but I would also probably try to ask you to maybe take up on something else, like I've mentioned before, like someone like a Vishal Dadlani. Farhan Akhtar, even though he may not be a technically great singer, he has a rocky rasp to his voice, which is something you can pick from. And someone like a Raghu Dikshit, if you know him. So those sort of singers might be a good blueprint for you to follow. So hope that helps. Thank you so much for your entry. Now moving forward. Okay, so we have Swati Chandola. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Swati Chandola from Haridwar, Uttarakhand. So let's take a listen to Swati. This seems like a live setting. Hope there's not too much background noise. Okay, that was about 1 minute 5 seconds of your clip, Swati. Thank you so much for sending it across. Okay, so firstly, Swati, because it was a live video, there was some disturbance and it was just a random phone recording, I guess. So I couldn't hear all the dynamics and rawness in your voice, but I could still get a clearer picture. So whenever you guys are sending in videos, guys, try not to do it in a live setting or somewhere where there is noise, right? So I wouldn't be able to hear your voice through clearly. Okay, so now moving forward, you do have a nice voice. You do have a sweet voice, Swati, but there are quite a few things that you could work on. So, firstly, I would say at the tempo, the beat, singing to the beat was sort of fine because you had the tabla player next to you, right? And he came in after a while. So you were sort of sticking on beat, but maybe you can practice this a little more with a backing track, a karaoke track, or a metronome. Just one, two, three, four. Because what I felt was he came in later, and the beginning part, I think you were at a slower tempo. I know the song is like that, but I think the tempo change was a bit drastic. So maybe you can work on that aspect. And secondly, what I would like to tell you is you did have a harmonium, right, with you next to you. So when you did have a harmonium, I don't know if you took the scale or pitch before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it didn't seem like I didn't hear it in the video. So when the tabla player is accompanying you, you could have got the harmonium to accompany you, at least giving the basic root chords, root notes, sorry, because harmonium you don't play too many chords. So yeah, you could get those notes and at least get the hang of the scale, right? At least the sa pa of your scale. If the harmonium could be playing that, you would make sure you would stick to that scale. Why I'm telling you this is because there were a lot of pitching issues in this performance. Maybe you took a scale which was sort of lower for you because when you went to the lower notes, you were struggling, and there were not too many very high notes for your voice in this. And secondly, especially between switching from section 1 to section 2 to section 3, where the lyrics and the tune was changing, your pitch was pretty haywire, right? So it started off one place, it went somewhere else, then it dropped somewhere else. So it wasn't constant. So your scale or the tune that you follow has to be pretty constant throughout. So that is the main thing, as we call it, surme gana and talpe gana. So these are the two most important things. So please focus on the sur aspect especially, okay? This you can do, as I've told you, with an instrument like the harmonium itself, a guitar, keyboard, anything, or use an app. There are many free instrument apps. Play the note, match it, or just use a normal classical shruti box, as we call it, which gives you the drone notes, right? Which a lot of singers use anyway. So please try to use those and work on your pitching. And the second thing I can give you feedback on is, especially one is your 2 points within the second one. Because of the tempo changes, your breathing needed some work. So make sure to do some breath control exercises, the diaphragm breathing. Where you're timing yourself, right? So that can work. Also, just do overall warm-ups like lip trills, yaya exercise. All of these are covered on our channel, including in the Western Vocals Beginners course. So please go and refer to that and work on your breathing so you know where to take a breath. Usually we give a general guideline that if it's a long line and there's a long gap, take a longer breath, and if there is a shorter gap and the lines are very choppy, you can take shorter breath and keep singing, okay? And punctuations, where there's a comma, end of a line, a full stop, question mark, whatever in the lyric, those are the points where you can take a breath so that you start the next line fresh, okay? So that is something definitely I can recommend you. And the last thing which I want to talk about here is your closed mouth approach to singing. I could see that you were barely opening. Ah, that is what is needed. You were doing ah, that sort of a texture. So make sure you try and do it with more of an open mouth as well. That would definitely be more helpful, even if you're going to higher pitches. So that would be my general feedback, Swati. So hope that helps. Thank you so much. Your voice does have a lot of potential. It does sound sweet, and you can build on it by following this feedback. I would love to listen to more submissions from you in the future. So keep singing. Thank you so much. Now moving on to the next submission. That's the fourth one. This is from Ishant Arya from Delhi. So let's take a listen to Ishant. So he sent in a video, it's only about 31 seconds long. So guys, try to send in at least a 1-minute clip, because I don't want to just listen to 1 or 2 sections of the song. If there is a verse, a pre and a chorus, I would like to listen to the whole thing, because usually the dynamics and the pitch, everything change between sections. So about 1 minute to 1 minute 20 seconds would be the sweet spot for you guys to send in your videos. But anyway, so let's take a listen to Ishant.
कुछ तो ना मिले बस मुझको तो ही बस तेरा हिस्सा चाहिए, तू है तो मुझे फिर और क्या चाहिए, तू है तो मुझे फिर और क्या चाहिए, किसकी ना मदद ना दुआ चाहिए, तू है तो मुझे फिर और क्या चाहिए.
So yeah, this is exactly what I meant. I wanted to listen more. It was a very nice performance, but I couldn't. No worries. So Ishan, thank you for sending that across. So firstly, I would like to compliment you that the way you started off on that high note, it was very appealing. So that grabs the listener immediately. So great job with that. And you do have a great voice. And also, I am not sure how old you are. You do look pretty young. Maybe if you are about 14, 15, around that age, maybe your voice will still undergo a lot more changes. So be prepared for that. This is specific advice to you that a lot of boys around the age of 12 to 16 anytime can undergo a lot of changes in their voice, where their voice becomes deeper, and for about a year and a half you won't be able to sing like you used to. Okay, if that has already happened to you, that's good, then your voice is sounding great. In case that hasn't happened yet, don't worry, just let it happen, take it naturally through, and don't push yourself through. If your voice is changing, don't try to push those high notes because and sing very loud, because you can damage your voice. Okay, and sorry guys, there is some construction work happening near the studio, so if you hear a bit of that drilling or hammering sound, we it's not in our hands, and I truly apologize for that, but we got to do what we got to do. So moving on. So yeah, Ishan, so yeah, that is a piece of advice. Don't power through or push through if your voice hasn't yet changed. Okay, but it didn't seem like that that you were pushing through. You were singing very well, very nicely. Was it a pre-recorded audio and you were lip syncing to it? Because it felt a bit like that. That's perfectly fine, as long as it is you singing and it was a raw vocal take. I'm just asking that. But yeah, now coming to the performance itself, your sense of your voice first of all, and your sense of pitch, that is sur mein gana or tal pe gana, both the rhythm and the beat, everything was pretty much spot on, and kudos for playing the guitar, strumming a couple of chords. So guys, this would be a good reference for a lot of you who have been playing instruments and sending videos. I've told you that it may be taking away from your vocal performance where you're playing a lot and throughout, right? So this is what you can do. Maybe just strum a couple of times, sing, so that you're staying in scale or in key and you're not wavering too much, but at the same time you are sticking to a rhythm also, right? So yeah, that's great job. You can also always practice more with an instrument or a perfect piano app, or maybe even with a metronome or a karaoke track, right? So Ishan, that is one thing. And now coming to, maybe if I have to give you a few feedbacks or suggestions, it would probably be firstly to sort of continue singing in this open mouthed approach. That's very healthy and very nice. But when you're going even higher, right, mainly, don't hesitate to push through to a little more nasal sound. You don't need to have that much of a open throated larynx pushing down approach. Maybe you can do it a little more where I'm pushing more towards my nasal cavity, right? You'll feel the vibrations and resonance there. That is a slightly healthier way. For higher notes, this you seem comfortable. So that's why a video is helpful. I could see you weren't straining anywhere too much, right? So that's definitely good. And the other thing I can say is maybe switch to falsetto in a few places. Try that out. Instead of hitting a note like, what if you try, try that approach, switch your voice. So all of this is more of a Western vocal technique. Obviously you don't hear too much of falsetto in Bollywood or Indian film music in general, but that is a tip I can give you. And maybe apart from this full bright, very, you have that heavy nice voice, right? So maybe you can try switching that up. Maybe sing something like an Arman Malik or a Sonu Nigam, the older songs with that husky texture. Try that out. Don't go too closed mouth even there, and don't go too breathy, because breath control is one thing, and definitely refer to the breathing exercises that we've covered on the channel. You can watch the Western Vocals Beginners course. Pick and choose what you need from there, and definitely looking forward to a lot more from you. So great job. And yeah, do send in more entries with different styles of songs if you can, and I would love to give feedback on that as well. Thank you. So, okay, the last entry for today, guys, the fifth and last one as usual, is Deepak Yadav from Mau UP. Yes, so again, an Uttar Pradesh entry. So, this is Deepak. Wow, today this is also 58 seconds. So, a lot of you are listening to the guidelines, and I'm very happy about that because 1 minute is a great indicator of for me to give the feedback. So, let me play the video now of Deepak's.
तेरे साथ में हूँ महफूज सदा, इतना तुझ पे है यकीन मेरा, तपती जलती इन राहों में तू साया मेरा। सहरा भी है गुलशन बन जाता, खुशबू की तरह जब तू आता, इस जिंदगी में हर घड़ी चाहूं तेरी पनाह। तेरे नाल इश्का मेरा, तेरे नाल इश्का मेरा, लगदा इबादत वर्गा। तेरे नाल इश्का मेरा मेरा, ज्यादा मैं दे दूं सदका, ज्यादा मैं दे दूं सदका, लगदा इबादत वर्गा। तेरे नाल इश्का।
Wow, that was very nice, Deepak. Thank you for sending that across. So, firstly, I would like to compliment you on your tone. You have such a unique tone and texture to your voice. It sounds like a lot like some of these Punjabi singers, especially not right now, but back in the day, maybe 10 years ago. So, that's sort of that rich, rustic, raw texture in your voice. I really love that. And I could feel a lot of emotional, बहुत feeling था गाना में. So, very, very nice. And now coming to the feedback aspect of it, right? So firstly, थोड़ा सुर का प्रॉब्लम है क्योंकि आप कोई रेफरेंस नहीं यूज़ कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, या ना कोई इंस्ट्रूमेंट या ऐप, सो इसलिए थोड़ा हिचकिचाहट हो रहा है यहाँ पे आपके पिच पे. सो व्हाट यू कैन डू इज़ यूज़ एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट, एक गिटार या कीबोर्ड, और you can take a nap, play the note, sing the note, try to match it. Okay, match कीजिए नोट को, इंस्ट्रूमेंट पे बजाइए और उसी नोट को मैच कीजिए. एंड लिसन टू द सेम सॉन्ग, यही गाना 1000 बार सुन लीजिए. वो मेलोडी, वो ट्यून, वो धुन होता है ना, उसको आप मेमोराइज करना है. ओके, सो एग्जैक्टली वो ट्यून आपको पता होना चाहिए कि उससे आप वेवर ना करो. ओके, so that is one main thing. So sur, so I'll work on the pitching. Second, of course, rhythm, because you weren't using any backing track or metronome or anything. So count चाहिए beat. So इसलिए metronome app या backing track या karaoke यूज़ कीजिए प्लीज़. और उसके अलावा बहुत अच्छा वॉइस है. आप ब्रीदिंग पे भी थोड़ा कंसंट्रेट कर सकते हैं. ब्रीदिंग एक्सरसाइजेस है बहुत कुछ हमारे चैनल पे ही, वेस्टर्न वोकल्स बिगिनर्स कोर्स में. सो यू कैन डू द डायफ्रामेटिक ब्रीदिंग and you can take breaths after each line. Okay, so if it's a very long line, लंबा लाइन हो तो लंबा सांस लीजिए, शॉर्टर छोटा सा लाइन हो तो छोटा सा सांस लीजिए. सो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि कहाँ पे आप सांस ले रहे हैं. ओके, सो दैट इज द मेन थिंग. सो ब्रेथ कंट्रोल, सुर एंड ताल, दैट इज ब्रेथ कंट्रोल एंड मेलोडी और सिंगिंग इन पिच एंड योर रिदम. So timing or this thing. Otherwise, you have a very resonant sound, but you're not having an open sound. आप मुंह थोड़ा और खोलना चाहिए. So also again, my Hindi is not that great, guys. I'm trying to incorporate it because we did get a bit of feedback that maybe a few lines in Hindi would help a few of you. So whenever I'm remembering that, I'm trying to give this to you guys. So please don't come at me. Okay. So yeah. Open your mouth a little more, where instead of when you go to the higher notes, more than that, maybe try and see how much difference it makes to your tone and to the emotion. Okay, try that out, and also maybe try out different things like a lighter and maybe falsetto. and stuff like that. Experiment more with your voice, but I really love the rustic, raw texture in your voice, Deepak. So this is one of my favorite, even though it wasn't a perfect performance. मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. So thank you so much for sending this across. So that's it, guys, for today's Feedback Friday session. Hope you all take away something valuable from it, and that is what we do this for, because there are not too many platforms for people, especially singers in this country, to send something across to get a feedback from someone in the industry. So that is the gap we're trying to fill. Hope this helps, and I want you all to take the feedback in a positive way. All of this is constructive criticism. It's not to put any of you down, right? So thank you for all the entries. If you haven't sent in an entry and want to, please head to the description, go to the link, and you can fill in the form with all the details, and also send a link to your you can just copy paste the link of your performance in the form as well. A few guidelines for those of you who want to send it across. Firstly, let it be at least 1 minute long. Second, let it be in any language, but preferably English, because we are a Western channel, but we do accept every language. Like you saw today, there was no English entry, but we're fine with it because we understand the demographic of our community. And next, I would say try to not do it in a noisy room or a crowded space or a live performance, because I would like to hear the voice cut through in the recording, right? And it needs to be clear. And lastly, try not to rip it off from an app like TikTok or any of those, because it might add a few effects and it may not be a clear recording. Lastly, you don't add any effects personally as well, because these apps like StarMaker and all of that adds a lot of reverb, delay, and stuff like that, right? So auto-tune, I don't want to listen to all of that. I want to hear the raw performance of your voice so that I can give the right feedback, okay? So cool, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in yet again. I'll be live every Friday for this at 5 p.m. at the same time. Make sure to catch me next Friday. And also every Monday, we're doing the Western Vocals Beginners course, which you can also tune in at 4 p.m. on Mondays, okay? And that'll definitely be helpful for you guys. So thank you. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.